Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. The year is 1457 BC. The desert winds blow softly across the sands of Egypt. The Nile glitters under the morning sun. Somewhere in Thebes, a young pharaoh prepares for war. This is Thutmose III, a man who has waited for years to claim his place as the ruler of Egypt. He is about to lead his army on one of the most daring military campaigns in history. What follows is no ordinary battle. It is a moment so important that the Egyptians carved it into the very walls of Karnak Temple, so that every generation after would remember. This is the Battle of Megiddo, the first battle ever recorded in detail, a story of courage, strategy, and destiny. To understand why Megiddo mattered, we have to go back a few years. For nearly 2 decades, Queen Hatshepsut had ruled as pharaoh, a rare and powerful woman in the ancient world. During her reign, Egypt enjoyed peace and prosperity. But not everyone was loyal. Far to the north, in the lands of Canaan and Syria, powerful city-states looked at Egypt as an oppressor. They waited patiently for the moment Egypt would seem weak. When Hatshepsut died, that moment came. Her stepson, Thutmose III, finally took the throne, but his enemies believed he was inexperienced. They saw an opportunity to rise up and break free. The king of Kadesh gathered over 300 rulers into a single coalition. Together, they rebelled against Egypt's rule. If they succeeded, Egypt would lose its grip over the north, and with it, its trade, its influence, its empire. Soon, the order went out. Egypt would march to war. From across the Nile Valley, soldiers were called to arms. Foot soldiers, archers, and the elite chariot corps assembled in Thebes. Imagine the sight: thousands of men, shields glinting, spears raised high, chariots lined up like rows of polished bronze. This was not just an army. This was the might of Egypt, the very symbol of Pharaoh's power. And leading them all was Thutmose himself, a young king with something to prove. The journey north would take nearly 3 weeks. Through desert roads, mountain passes, and river crossings, the Egyptian army advanced with precision and discipline. Each night, campfires lit up the horizon, and priests walked among the soldiers, chanting prayers and hymns to keep their spirits high. Scouts were sent ahead to gather intelligence. They reported that the enemy had gathered near Megiddo, a city that controlled the main trade routes through the region. Whoever held Megiddo controlled the entire north. Thutmose now faced a critical choice. 3 roads led to Megiddo, 2 wide and safe, and 1 narrow, dangerous, and perfect for an ambush. Most generals advised taking the safer roads, but Thutmose made a bold decision. He would take the narrow Aruna Pass, a path so risky that if the enemy lay in wait, the entire army could be destroyed. It was a gamble that could make or break the campaign. Dawn broke as the Egyptian army entered the Aruna Pass. The path was so narrow that the soldiers had to march in single file. Chariots creaked, horses snorted, and every man expected arrows to rain down from above at any moment. But hour after hour, the march continued in silence. No enemy appeared. The pass was empty. By noon, the Egyptians had made it through. When they emerged onto the plain, they saw the coalition army, spread out and completely unprepared. Thutmose's gamble had worked. He had surprised the enemy and gained the advantage. The morning of the battle, Thutmose climbed into his chariot. He wore the blue crown of war, a symbol of his role as commander of Egypt's forces. Trumpets sounded. The soldiers took their positions. Archers formed the front lines, chariots took the flanks, and foot soldiers filled the center. Then came the signal. The Egyptian charge shook the ground. Arrows flew, darkening the sky. The thunder of hooves filled the air. The coalition army was caught off guard. Some fought bravely, but soon panic spread through their ranks. The enemy broke and fled toward Megiddo. In their rush, they abandoned their chariots, their weapons, even their royal tents. The Egyptians had won the field, but the enemy still held the city. Now came the siege. Thutmose ordered his men to surround Megiddo completely. A wooden wall was built around the city, cutting it off from all supplies. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Inside the city, food ran out. Hunger spread. Despair grew. At last, the rulers of the coalition surrendered. One by one, they came crawling on their bellies before Thutmose, bowing low to the ground. Megiddo opened its gates. Egypt had triumphed. The victory at Megiddo was more than just a battle. It was a turning point. Thutmose III went on to lead 17 more campaigns, expanding Egypt's empire farther than ever before. He became known as the Napoleon of Ancient Egypt, a brilliant strategist and fearless commander. And thanks to the scribes who recorded every step of this campaign on the walls of Karnak Temple, we know this story in extraordinary detail. The Battle of Megiddo stands as the first recorded battle in history, a story carved into stone, a reminder that courage, boldness, and vision can change the course of history forever.